League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I am here with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Christy Santiago.
That's me. Happy Friday, everyone. And I hope you're ready, because the title, this Bullsh, because I'm polite and never ever say fucking cuss words. That's what this show is going to be about, is some bullshit. And it is Friday, and we get to be together, so there's that. And I'm sure you'll have some giggles in between. And I'm in Florida, and it's really hot, so I have ice cream. That's my excuse. What's yours?
I have some Kool-Aid, so...
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Tastes like childhood.
It does.
It does, yes.
So, yeah, why don't you go ahead and just... Do you want to finish your ice cream before I have you, take over the first topic? Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I got you.
And then I will take over.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, well, yeah, we have a few fun things to go over tonight. We are going to be going over a Supreme Court decision. We're going to be going over a little bit of what's going on with our economy and our budget, and where we're spending money and where we should be spending money, basically. And then we're going to end on some really happy, so charming Jeffrey Epstein related things. So yeah, so strap in and hell yeah. Other than that, Christy's still eating her ice cream cone. Only I can see. But
I'm not eating anything.
No, she's set to go. Yeah, no, I am absolutely drawing a blank on what to fill this time in with, because I'm underprepared for my part tonight. I didn't get a whole hell.
And you were watching me eat an ice cream cone at super
it's very
speed.
distracting.
It's very distracting. I didn't know if I could do it, but hold on. Gold star. All right. Yes. So Miss Ghislaine pronounced all. I mean, it is a beautiful name. It sucks that she ruined it for any moms that are preggers at this time that really thought that was a beautiful name. In my opinion, she's ruined it. But excuse me, ice cream. Saying please don't ever eat me that fast again. Maxwell, there's so much to her story. I'm not going to, cover all of that we have covered thus far on LEAH, because that'd be its own show. I think we covered 3 or 4 different episodes with her involved and Epstein involved. So if you are curious and more of that, please go to our channel and watch the Epstein segments that we have, or ask me and I'll fill in any questions if I know the answer, and if I don't, I can help you find it. We can look for it together. All right. She was arrested in New Hampshire.
Real quick though, before you get into that, that's our last bit, right?
Maxwell arrested?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you wanted me to cover the we're
Supreme Court. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just so we have just so we have the right order.
Yes.
Sorry, I have to keep Christy in check for once. I did my job. Thank you, everyone.
You did it. Yes, the beautiful Supreme Court is allowing. They consider it religious discrimination to discriminate against children's education. Okay, they pretzeled their mind into some bullshit. unfortunately, there is so much to this particular case that it has similar cases have gone through lower courts. I was hoping that they were just going to follow the Constitution. I really thought that they would follow the Constitution that mandates back. Yeah, I understand why it's hard now. You got me, Mac. All right, so these companies, corporations, churches are what they're called, but I'll call them corporations. They're non-profit organizations, do not pay taxes. However, they want to benefit from taxes that they don't pay into. And they've been fighting for these things for a long time and chipping away for a long time. And I don't have an in-depth story for you about this. It would just piss me off too much, and it's been on all the news. Anybody can follow and read all the dissenting voices, read and pay attention to the Supreme Court, people. Pay attention to what they're doing. Read what they put out. Follow them on Twitter if you use the Twatter box and you twat often. Twat to the Supreme Court. Why not? They're available, and you should really follow them. I find that this decision, I just want to read real quick. The U.S. Supreme Court narrowed the separation of church and state in a major ruling Tuesday, which is what I'm talking about, endorsing Montana tax credits that helped pay for students to attend religious schools, a decision paving the way for more public funding on faith-based institutions. Now, here on LEAH, I covered, Matt covered, one of us covered, we both covered churches getting taxpayer funding for their playgrounds about a year and a half ago. And they were able to do that through all these loopholes and chipping away at other laws. Now, you, like me, might think that, the president that's in the White House right now is a bumbling buffoon, which he is. However, the people around him are not. And whether you agree with their ideology or not, they are getting shit done. They have, appointed 173 conservative judges. So now these judges are important because these judges are appointed. They're not voted. And now the next president can come in and change all of them if he wanted to. That is true. However, how much damage will they have done by that time? And by stacking the lower judges, you're able to chip away at these constitutional rights that the hypocrisy is so real, because these are people who are the conservative mindset, the Constitution, if you burn a flag, you should go to prison for a year, and America, but they haven't read it, because if they read it, they would understand that it's so important to keep a wall between church and state. Our country was founded on that separation because the rule from the king in England was the Church of England, and you had to follow it. That's why a lot of different religions migrated to this nation in the very beginning, because of religious persecution. The idea of a nation where you could practice whatever religion you wanted, however you wanted, whenever you wanted, and no government suppression, or not practice the religion, get away from having to do those things, was something worth dying for, and people did. And now we have this contemporary mindset of that's what's wrong with the world. We need to put God back into. I have news for you people that want to put God back into stuff like schools. We've always had since the First Amendment was made additional to the original founding documents, have had that wall of separation. I think that we're heading down the wrong road. This one's a horrible loss. It takes a school system which I am vehemently against. I talk about it all the time, and I'll go over it real quick right now. The way that this country, for our viewers that are not American, the way that we fund our public schools in this nation is property taxes. So, and not nationally or federally, but locally. So, in a poor area, let's just take a town like Chicago. It has areas that have a lot of housing projects, dilapidated houses, houses that have been vacant, boarded up windows, squatters. You're not going to get a lot of high property tax. Most of the people who live in these areas, the voting blocks, don't get a lot of say. They don't really have a voice because it starts with their children not having a voice, not getting the proper education. Because if you have almost zero or very low property taxes coming in, those schools in that area are not going to have funding. So you take that same city, Chicago, and you go to a nice area. It doesn't even have to be wealthy, just a nicer area where there's gated communities and everybody pays a higher property tax. Now you're talking about schools that are funded, um, that have programs, that have STEM programs that people invest in because they are not super wealthy neighborhoods. They're just regular middle class American. They get a little bit more funding than the schools with zero property tax. They're seen as people we could do without, almost like it's okay if we don't take care of them because they're never really going to do anything. I mean, obviously, look, they can't pull themselves up by the bootstraps. They've been here for how long and they're still in the projects. They don't understand that we do have a class system. So if we take those taxes of the very, very wealthy neighborhoods and their public schools, now you're talking about schools that have brand new athletic fields. They have all of the gear to practice playing football that professional football players have. So those kids are competing on a totally different level than the kids that come from the area with zero property tax or no property taxes. So that's a huge conundrum that's all fucked up, right? So now you enter these school vouchers. This new this is why Betsy DeVos was chosen. This is what her fight is. A quick side note, her husband is the man who started Amway. And if you're against MLMs, multi-level marketing catch schemes, then that's her husband. He started Amway. Back to her. These vouchers, what they do is they take that total sum of funding from the property taxes for any of we'll go with the middle class school. The property taxes for that particular middle school from that area of property taxes, they take it and they say, okay, there's 1,200 kids that go to this school, and this is the amount, the sum of funding the school's going to get. Well, because there's 758 children here, we'll divide that amount of funding by that amount of students. Now each student is worth that amount and gets a voucher to take that amount of public funding with them to a private school. Now that private school gets it. So it takes it out of being the school's money and makes it about the child's choice to be educated with the funding wherever they want. Do you see this like pretzel you have to twist in for it to not make sense still? I mean, don't get me wrong. They're good. This was good. They thought it out. It's been they're good. They're better than we need to be better. And unfortunately, they're willing to do the cruel things, the things that hurt, to get what they need and where they want to be, and we're not. And I'm okay with that. I'm not saying we should be. I'm saying we need to be stronger, because that was the long game. I mean, soon as school busing became a thing and desegregation became a thing, that's when they really, really started drawing red lines. And, all of these kids will go to this school in this property tax area, and all of these kids will go to this school in this property tax area. That way they could still segregate without actually segregating. It's in the system. The system is built this way. I could keep going. I could. It's just really frustrating that the Supreme Court chose profit over children. That money should stay with the school. It should not follow that child to a private school. You're private. You don't pay taxes. Therefore, you do not get to benefit from tax funding. It's just, the Supreme Court is wrong. Very wrong.
It is. And it's really sad that they made a decision to let it go that way. It's which day was it? Was it Wednesday? Tuesday? Gotcha. Oh, great. So, all right. Well, are you ready to move on? All right. I don't have a ton to say on this topic. I really want to do a much deeper dive next week on the same topic, because the problem's not going away. So this COVID-19, the great lockdown, if you will, is affecting everyone differently, and it's affecting the whole country and the world in pretty devastating ways. And I want to just kind of touch base on a few of those ways that I have really noticed this past week, especially. I'm not really going to talk about like the GDP, the Dow Jones, because I don't really pay attention to the stock market, but I will.
Hold on,
mention
real quick question. Do you own any stocks?
I don't.
Okay, I don't either, so let's not talk about that.
Yeah. I was going to say, though, that I like Crystal Ball's analogy of the stock market is just a graph of rich people's feelings. So
no, it is. It's
yeah.
When the stock market is doing well, it shows that the wealthy, the 2% ruling class of this nation and multinational corporations are doing well. It has nothing to do with Mac or me or Nacho Witness. Well, he doesn't live in, he may not exist, so he could live here. So there's that. But all of our, there's so many people that we know and talk to on a regular basis that stock market has nothing to do with them or their lives. And it's so I guess it shows how powerful media is, and how powerful someone like Robert Ailes back in the day said we need a GOP TV. We need to do what other nations have done with their media, radio before that, newspaper before that. It's been done so well that people who don't have a savings, are in their 60s, they have no idea how they're going to retire without help from their government. And they're still conservative. And, this COVID and their ages and just all of it The week's insane, Mac. The whole month this year, 2020 is insane.
2020s. The way I've said it to a few people is 2020 is trying its hardest to become an adjective.
Yes, it is. We're being 2020 is going to be a thing. Yes.
Yeah, it's a fuck of a year. So yeah, anyways, I'm getting a lot of people talking like this is worse than the Great Depression. And for multiple reasons, you could say it is worse than the Great Depression. I have heard that it's worse than the Great Recession of 2008. It's definitely worse than the Great Recession in 2008. We've lost so many jobs. Like, I don't have the exact number, but it looks like tens of millions of jobs are just lost right now. And that's kind of what I want to focus on tonight, is that even if like we've lost 1 million jobs,
how many of those jobs had health care that they don't have any longer either?
Right, because when like there's two ways that I want to say this.
You want to buy-splain it?
Huh?
Said you want to buy-splain it to us?
A what?
You know, like mansplain?
Yeah.
You want to buy-splain it?
Buy-splain it? Yeah.
Let me buy-splain this to you real quick.
I'm sorry. I wasn't ready. Okay. So yeah, I guess I want to buy-splain it. At least maybe even try.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know. Look, I don't know things. I just act like I do. That's why I come here. Okay. So Christy. Anyone who had health insurance through their place of employment who lost their job, the health care goes with it, right? Your benefits go with it. Just pointing it out. People already know that. Something else that's happening, because the economy is doing so poorly, and there's so many places that are struggling just getting their normal revenue in.
Right.
Employers are seeing that they can say, hey, sorry, Joe, I'm going to have to cut down your pay. I'm going to have you come in and work longer hours. And I'm going to have to cut back on your benefits to make sure the company is okay. And that's going to be okay because it has to be. Right. Because where else are you going to go?
And if you don't have a union, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, there's 40 million people out of work right now in our country that would hop on whatever benefits and jobs like they can take right now at all. And it really is an employer's market at that. Well, a really rich employer's market right now.
Yeah, the wealth, the what you just mentioned is part of what we're going to look back at, this exact moment of a major moment in America's history where massive wealth was moved away from the bottom again to the top. And I'm talking about generational wealth, like people's mom and dad who inherited their house from their parents when they got married. It's paid off, but because they can't afford the taxes, they lose it. And now it's being rented to them at like $18,000 a month. There's going to be a lot of that, a lot of people losing their homes because of this. And well, who can buy a whole bunch of homes in one day that are being auctioned off? Wealthy people. So
Yeah.
it's more wealth for the wealthy.
It's very similar to what happened in 2008, right? The
Yep.
banks crashed. We bailed out the banks. The banks basically paid off the loans that everyone owed, and then said, "You still owe, and now we own your house." And this is going to continue to happen. We didn't secure the workers. We didn't bail out people enough. We got a $1,200 check, right? Plus what, $600 for each kid, up to so many children. And
yeah, Duggars, we're talking about you.
We got that one time. We may see it again in August. We may see it again in August. For everyone that's still working but struggling, that's nice. For everyone who isn't working right now, it's been devastating for the last 3 months. We can't wait for another one. This is insane. There should be riots in the streets, violent riots in the streets, because that's what it logically calls for. Like, we can't bail out the businesses like we did first, right? We gave, I can't even remember right now, which industry did we bail out first? It wasn't the banks.
Wall Street.
I don't think it was Wall Street either.
Actually, it was like 2 weeks ago, and so much
fuel?
news has happened. 3, 4, 6 weeks ago, and so much news has happened in 6
Yeah.
weeks. It's hard to remember 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's hard to like keep up on any of the news right now, just because there's so much happening at once, and the election is really. I'm starting to ignore the election news because
it's been about $1 trillion each time though.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I'll get to it. I'll get to the other thing. First, I got to get to this other thing. There's a coin shortage. I'm not sure if everyone's noticed that, but even where I live and where I work at a grocery store, coins. They've shut down the U-Scan cash payments where I work, because there's not enough coins for them to give cash back.
All right.
Yeah. Actually, I have a thing.
Yeah, that hasn't hit here yet.
How long? Okay, this is actually a really short article, so I'll just go ahead and read this really quick. This is from penlive.com business. Those pennies, nickels, and dimes and quarters are far more precious due to a national coin shortage brought on by the coronavirus and resulting shutdown. As a result, the giant supermarkets chain, the Giant, I forgot that was like an actual chain, is the newest member of growing list of retailers limiting cash transactions or demanding exact change. Lowe's home improvement stores posted signs urging shoppers to pay with exact change or use other forms of payment, as have convenience stores such as 7-Eleven, Pilot, and Circle K, according to news reports and social media posts.
Okay, well, you need to send this to me so that I can show it to Isabel and be like, boom, see, that's why your mama pays with exact change, because, you know, she's a millennial and I'm annoying counting out my change.
Just sent it to you. Okay. Yeah, no, it's that was an odd one for me because, like, one, I always use scans because I want that robot apocalypse to come sooner. But also, it's just way faster. Rabbit trail, real quick. I can't stand when people say I don't use scans because I'm paying them to bag up my groceries. I worked all day. I'm not bagging my groceries. I'm like, get the fuck over it. Just bag your own goddamn groceries. That's
right. I prefer to
the
bag
fuck out of
mine.
my house.
They can't do it right. I know exactly how I want it.
Yeah.
You know, I want certain things on top because I might want to eat them on the way home. Like, don't judge me.
Hold on. Can you just repeat that sentence real quick? Okay, that's what I thought. I'll be here all
I
night.
can just cut and edit that. Make that my ringtone when I call you.
I might want to eat
I
something.
like things on top. Sometimes I want to eat them on the way home. Oh, goodness.
Okay.
You're inappropriate.
Me?
And I love it.
All right. Oh shoot.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, I had more info even. There's just so much, guys. There's so much. And like I said, I think I'm just gonna recover this topic next week. Just more economics. So the military budget this year that they're I don't know if they passed it or if they're trying to pass it. They haven't passed it yet? No. Okay. It's, if I remember right, it's $719 trillion. No, not trillion, billion. My bad. $719 billion.
Yeah.
That's absurd. It is absurd. It's more. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's absurd.
If I can YouTube. No, you know what? I'm not going to do that either. I'm going to wait till next week again. That's an increase, right? How much did we spend on the military last year? Military
always an increase. But other things are always cuts. Yeah.
Okay, so last year, the military budget was $686 billion, and
so much still.
That was they increased it. Let me see. Yada. Why doesn't it just say? Oops. 2018. It says just under 700 billion. So we'll go back one more time. Okay, it's not giving me exact numbers for those years. I apologize. This is why I said I would just have it later. So they increased it for this year. They're asking for math in it, over 30 trillion more dollars. Billion, geez, I'm sorry, over 30 billion more dollars. How much does it cost for Medicare for all for 1 year, Christy?
Yeah, about 30. About
35, 30?
Yeah, 30 billion. Yeah.
That's just to pay for everyone's healthcare though, right?
Yeah, for every single citizen's healthcare, vision, and dental.
Right. Everything that's not like just cosmetic.
Right. And even certain cosmetics, if like a deviated septum, some people do have it. Yeah. A lot of people have it, actually. It's very common surgery. Some people don't need to have the surgery. Some people say, well, if I have it, then I can have like this bump taken off, or I can do something else. so they can still have that cosmetic surgery covered by their single payer because it is a deviated septum. So there are lots of, uh, ask people. We have friends in our community from Denmark, from Canada, from Australia. Ask them about their healthcare. Um, ask, go online and look up nurses groups and ask them questions. There's nurses, Doctors Without Borders will answer questions. I just think that, as Shannon Q says, advocate for your own understanding. I love that she says that because no one's going to do it for you. They're just not.
Yeah, no, and it's they're not. So back to this little budget thing real quick. Trying to pull up a good graph. Okay. This is April 2020. All right. This is from the Peter G. Peterson Foundation. I have
You
a
just
graph
wanted
here.
to say Peter.
Peter. The United States wants to, because we haven't passed it yet.
Right.
This has it set at $732 billion for our military budget. There's China, India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, Germany, United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea, and Brazil. And they come in spending $6 billion less than us, all of them combined. That's a lot. So let's just look here, kind of line it up roughly. China. And I'm not going by exact number here. Maybe I could.
China has billions of people.
Oh yeah, $250 billion. And that was in 2018. $250 billion. So we're paying double and a half more than China is. If we want to just be the best in military spending, we could cut it in half. We could cut the military budget literally in half, still spend $100 billion more than any other country. And we could pay for healthcare and education for all each year.
Yep.
And still have at least 100
billion. Our infrastructure would be fixed. There would be so much upgrades across this country. Maybe our nuclear, I don't want nuclear weapons. However, I don't want our nuclear weapons still because they are.
You can't hack it that way. You can't hack it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we shouldn't have them. Maybe nobody should have them.
There's that too. But if we have them on anything, right now I'm still okay with the floppy disks because I was like, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, you can't hack them. So, but, all right. So let's say we did do the college for all and the Medicare for all. I think that is just together around $100 billion a year.
Yes.
And I'm rounding up, I'm pretty sure. If we cut the military budget in half from 2018, that's this 648 billion. We cut that in half. We'll just round it up again to $325 billion.
Okay.
And now we still have $225 billion left after paying for Medicare for all and for college for all.
Wow.
That's $225 billion left.
Wow.
We can deal with this fucking COVID crisis.
Yeah.
We could freeze or pay for everyone's rent for a few months. We could not bail out businesses, just bail out people. We can do it anyways, but we don't need to worry about the economy collapsing if we cut out some of our fucking budget here, like our military budget, where we don't need to be, we're in other countries dictating them. And that's the exact opposite of why we're there in the first place, is usually to stop dictatorships, authoritarianism, and we just go there and we do that thing
a racket.
for them. War is a racket.
War is a racket. And if you don't believe me, then you do not understand how the American economy works. Because if we stopped being involved in all of the places we're at war with, that actively bombing, our economy would collapse. That's why we need to move to it. We need so much change. Our economy is held up by war. That sounds horrible because it is.
Sounds horrible because it is horrible. All right, so here's just one more little tidbit for that. From our 2019 budget, I want to just point out that we dropped 7,423 bombs on Afghanistan last year alone. I don't know how much any of those bombs cost, but I do know, because we went over the Afghanistan papers back in December, that all the generals in official documents say, we don't know what the definition of winning the Afghanistan war is. We shouldn't be there. This is an unwinnable war. We don't know who and where the bad guys are. We don't know. And it was an illegal war to get in the first place. We dropped and paid for 7,423 bombs in one country out of 7 or 8 countries that we are actively in warfare with.
Yes.
Just one country.
And none of them have actively attacked us for us to retaliate.
Right. So when you mention to your moderate or right-wing friends that, hey, we should cut the military budget, and they want to go on either about supporting the troops or, no, we spend so much so other countries can have that bullshit social democracy stuff. That's they don't spend money on their military. So we do, and we keep the whole world safe. No, dropping 7,423 bombs on one country that we shouldn't even fucking be in, and they want us out. They voted us out back in November last year for killing an Iranian, not terrorist, military hero in the Afghanistan country.
Right. Yeah, they protest us.
This. Please get out. We don't want to just be a war zone forever. They said, no. We're building you up. Also, if you kick us out, we're going to take everything we just built back up there, and we'll screw you.
So either you allow us to occupy you and do what we want, or we do what we want and occupy you.
Yeah, because there's is there oil or precious metals in Afghanistan? I can't remember which one it has. Both. Over $1 trillion worth of metals, like lithium and stuff that we use to put in phones. Like we can make it.
South America has a lot of those precious elements.
You said South America does?
South America.
Yeah, like Brazil.
Brazil has a lot of the
lithium
stuff we need for tech.
Yeah.
Cobalt. Cobalt. Yeah.
And we don't We don't need our military budget that bloated. What we need is to stabilize our economy. We have the money and we have the means to do it. We're spending it elsewhere. And it's infuriating. Absolutely infuriating, because it's so easy to fix. You'll piss a lot of people off, but also you won't piss a lot of people off. Most people want to pay their fucking rent and buy groceries. I think they're not going to cry about pulling all the troops out of Afghanistan, which the Senate just denied. Donald Trump pulling
bipartisan
4,000, bipartisan consensus. They blocked Donald Trump from pulling 4,000 troops home out of the 14,000 that they have. Remember how much we started with when he said he was going to end the war? 8,000.
Yeah.
8,000.
Like Obama. He said he was going to bring
just
home
a few more.
And then he sent like 300,000 more troops on the ground. Yeah.
We almost doubled it. I'm talking Trump.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. And we don't have a definition for winning. We don't know what it would look like to win in Afghanistan, but we have to double the troops.
Right. I think it's just we're at a stage in this country where many of the citizens are waking up to the dream they were sold and told and indoctrinated into doesn't exist at all. And it doesn't exist. And we're the only ones that can change that, which means you have to accept it. You have to acknowledge these things happened, that atrocities happened in your name still today. The Trail of Tears was horrible. Yes, it's in the history. Slavery was horrible. Yes, it's in the history. They can use all those arguments. For those people, I say you're probably still an asshole if that's an argument you're using. However, we can talk because that stuff is still going on right now. And so you don't have to be an asshole about it. If you don't want a country coming to occupy you and putting you into an open air prison and controlling you and where you go and where your children are able to be educated. If you don't want to live in an apartheid, then maybe you should care about what's going on everywhere else. So we have to, like I said, we're living in a time where a lot of people are starting to go, okay, I was wrong. A lot of things were wrong. We have a lot of people doubling down because it's scary to realize, I mean, gosh, there are people that are breaking things in their garage because Bubba made NASCAR take the redneck flag down. Like, there's a lot of awakening going on all over this country. I think it's a good thing, but I do think that we're at the tip of the waking up part. It's going to get worse before it gets better, because once we are at a place where we realize that we have to change a lot in order for equity and equality to be a part of an egalitarian society we want to live in. That means that we have to change many things, and I would say most people, a huge majority, that kind of change is terrifying. It's terrifying. Putting the power, in theory, in their minds, they don't want a dictator. They don't want authoritarianism. They don't want these lies to be sold to them. They'd like to know the truth. But in reality, that means that we have to do the work and that we have to be involved. And it's easier to kind of sit back and be like, both sides are bad. I don't want to be involved in it. And we are fortunate that a lot of people are starting to say, instead of both sides are bad, I don't want to be a part of it, we've been sold a lie, how do I change it, is starting to be more and more of what we're hearing. And I guess that's the good we could take away from that. and watch Economic Update every week with Richard Wolff.
Bingo. Couple more things here, just to have said them. The unemployment rate is so high that it really does compete with the Great Depression. That's a problem, to say the least. And when you have unemployment that high, no guarantee that people are going to get their jobs back, and you don't have some kind of UBI or enough stimulus coming in, it really does destroy capitalism, because that's not how capitalism is supposed to work. It eliminates so much competition that only businesses with wealth, like an extreme amount of wealth, can like survive. And then it's just not capitalism, right? Because you need a free market, and with a free market, you need choices, and it needs to be fair. On top of that, because I don't care about the capitalism part so much, but you have people who are desperate, and you can't have a functioning society with a desperate society. It just doesn't work. Someone put in the live chat, remember Sammy Jenkins said, if they would put a 1% COVID tax on every business that earns over 100 million profit a year, it would not only support the entire nation, but would solve world hunger. If we had taxes like that in our country, or if we had a progressive tax, like all the way from FDR to Eisenhower,
Right, and it was almost 92%.
Right, and he was a Republican president. It was 91 progressive,
and
91%.
We had the highest growth anywhere in the world.
Doesn't kill growth. People still get wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many better ways to just run our economy. So when we hit something shitty like this, so many people don't have to struggle. It really is that simple. Anyone who tells you it's not quite that simple, then they just don't understand. Like, yeah, there is more that goes into it.
Right.
But if you start with that baseline of how simple that is, like if you just go with that as like a principle base, you can build onto it, not change any part of your principle base, and you can get legislation to fix all of these problems.
Then you can have vice principle base.
You can have a vice principal base?
Yes.
You could.
Have your base, and then your vice principal base.
That was cute. I like that. That's good.
Sometimes I'm cute. You're welcome. I'll be here all week.
All right. I'm gonna stop.
Oh, I did want to say real quick, markets aren't just for capitalism or capitalists. Oh. Markets are for almost every, they are for not almost every economy or economic system I have looked at, and I've been very interested, as you guys know, for at least the last year. I mean, in economy and economics, who would have thought? And even way back in the barter system,
right?
There's markets.
That's economics.
It's economics, right? And so,
like how to run a market, right?
Right. I'm just, I got, I do get into it sometimes in comment sections with people who, I'm against free markets and And my answer to that is show me a free market. And I'll explain to you if I'm against it or not, because I don't, where would I find a free market? If you show me one, I'll give you I'll analyze it and I'll give you my opinion on it. Monopolies are not free markets.
Well, one of my favorite,
They're just not.
one of my favorite little sayings I came up with, and is more or less just everything in moderation, including moderation. Like you have to put, I don't want to say restrictions. What's the word I'm looking for? Regulations on everything, especially what's regulating it. Like this, so like you can have a free market if it's really regulated, and you need to regulate what's regulating that market. Or yeah, like it just all the way down. So anyways, I'm done tonight with that topic. Do you want to move on to something way more cheery?
Yes.
You have a happy topic next, right?
I do. It's just wonderful.
Take me away.
I know.
Oh
Cowgirl.
shoot, you just get demonetized?
Yes, probably.
Fuck.
Probably the next topic will get us demonetized. Yeah.
I think we don't have to worry about that.
Not that we've ever been monetized. It doesn't matter.
Right?
We're just talking like that's an option. YouTube will, our name alone. They're trying to be like superheroes of atheism. We can't.
Right?
Shut that shit down. Okay. Miss, her name is spelt Ghislaine, which I find a beautiful name, Ghislaine. It's spelt Ghislaine, which is not how you say it, which makes me want to say it like that all the time. But so I'm not going to make, it's not a funny story, and I'm always funny. I find funny in everything, and I don't want to do that to this story. So her name is going to be Maxwell from here on out, because her name will make me giggle, and I don't think any giggling should be done about her actions or why she is in the news and in the headlines. She was arrested in New Hampshire. She had a nice little, not little, she had a nice house there. She was arrested by the FBI and charged by the federal prosecutors for her role in sexual exploitation and abuse of many young and minor girls with her partner, Jeffrey Epstein, which I covered pretty in depth. But I would say if you really want the best scoop you can find online, and it's be factual, fact check it yourself, don't take my word for it, information on Jeffrey Epstein, please check out Whitney Webb. Webb is her last name, and her name is Whitney Webb, and you will find her on Mint Press News, and you could just type in Mint Press, Whitney Webb, Epstein. You know, those three words together, it'll take you where you need to go. And she did like a 7-part series. That's how much information, and she does not reside here in the US, although she is an expat. She's in South America, and she does all of her investigative journalism from there. She is a beast when she went after this story. She's a beast anyway. She's young. She has a very promising future as an investigative reporter, and she'd rather know the truth, whether it hurts or not, over any bullshit. And I really love, she's got a hound dog nose, and she will follow the money, even if it takes her sitting on the floor with boxes and boxes of receipts that came out of a dumpster. Like, she's not playing. So that's if you want to know more about, or as much as you can, about Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell is charged with 6 counts of sexual exploitation, grooming,
and enticing minors as young as 14 years old. I have read information from Whitney Webb also on another story that there was a girl as young as 11 years old. So, but as far as these indictments, this arrest as young as 14 years old to engage and enticing minors as young as 14 years old to engage in illegal sex acts with Epstein, assisting Epstein, trafficking the minors across states, and on occasion taking part herself in the sexual abuse of these children. So those are her charges. I really hope she doesn't accidentally hang herself like her partner. You know, I guess it's contagious in this line of work. A lot of people are across this globe. The minute she got arrested, opened up their safe that had their other identity and their bag of cash and prepared it, because if she talks, the names this woman knows, she could save herself and sing like a canary. Although with her dad being part of Mossad, there's that whole Secret Service. There, it's a deep. If you want to get deep into that story, like I said, go to Whitney Webb's 7-part on Mint Press. I will write it out to myself right now, like I do each week. If I want to add, I'll add the link to this Mint Press article for you to read. It's a lot of reading. It's 7 parts. It's fucking worth it. It is amazing. And her sources are all available as well. I love. And she's been on Quoth the Raven and a few podcasts talking about her investigative journalism. She's been on some of the bigger shows as well because she is making a name for herself with the reason why someone would get into investigative journalism is to find the truth, to speak truth to power. And I believe Whitney Webb is one of those people. So you'll find out a lot there. I will add that underneath when we're done to the comments. So when people go to comment, they'll see the link and maybe they'll watch that and get even more information. I don't have much more as far as her arrest because right now they are probably bagging and tagging so much evidence from her residence. I do have to add, we have all of our borders shut down. So someone like Maxwell, she has access to private airfields, private jets. She's not taking a coach flight in and out. But I don't want to think, nor do I believe, that our government is become so incompetent that it didn't know that she had come back into the country. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Of course they knew she was here. So then the smarter part of my brain that agrees with that and says, yes, of course they knew she was here. Was she here with her lawyers working on a deal prior to arrest? Because the only way she can get arrested and not face forever in prison is by working something out. And I'd be curious. I mean, obviously she's not a good person. What kind of woman molests young girls? You were a young girl. I don't know.
Got a native atheist down below asked a question. Anyone here believe that Epstein committed suicide? Nope.
No, I would say no. And my reason is not because of crazy propaganda, is because there's this Occam's razor. It is not the simplest answer. Two guards outside, both decided to take a sleeping potion. Both of them happened to be shopping for very expensive things online as they dozed off. Things that they can't normally afford. And that doesn't mean anything. That's just circumstantial. I look at things I can't afford all the time. But it's just, there's a lot of coincidences. They both are asleep, and oh my gosh, all of the cameras in that entire wing just happen to just not work. They're just decorations to scare people, except for they work all the other times they've been needed, except for this one night. There's too much, and I'm too skeptical. So I just don't believe somebody like his narcissism would never allow him to kill himself. He believed he was going to get away with it again. So
just to kind of quote Samuel L. Jackson on The Spirit, it's just plain weird.
yes, it is.
Too damn
It is.
weird.
I find Maxwell, she makes my skin crawl. I know, remember we made fun of that woman who said that about Bernie Sanders? She didn't have a reason. She said, I don't know why. Because of course she can't. She couldn't argue on policy, because on policy he's all the things that the people watching on CNN want. So she says, I can't put my finger on it or tell you why.
But she can go on television and tell you.
Yeah, but she'll tell you he makes her skin crawl. Maxwell and Epstein, they make my skin crawl. They have the connections, the connections, the unlimited wealth, the things he had on leaders had to be so big to get them to do the things they did for him. Epstein, like Wexler, he owned Victoria's Secret and Estee Lauder. He sold Epstein, that mansion for $1, $5, just so he could have a record of sale. There's so many, like you said, that's just weird. There's so many that's just weird in this particular circle of people, and the power that these people have. We're talking about world leaders. World leaders have been getting away with whatever they want since humans. That has been. Now we have a faster way of communicating, and if someone was to be, hurt in another state, I will know tonight, not in 4 months, if I happen to know somebody who lives there who wrote me a letter. Things have changed so much, and I think that people like him, I hate that he died. I really I want her to face the music. I want names. I want who, what, when, where, how. And those girls, you owe those girls whose lives you ruined to do this for them. And because if you don't, all of those men will continue doing what they got away with because of your help before. They didn't become that way because of you. You helped them get those girls. They're still that way. Yes, I'll call on Mac.
Yes. Hi. Hello. I was just thinking, like, we need a grand jury report on this. And as I was thinking that
independent.
And as you extra made me think that because of the work that it did on the Catholic Church diocese in Pennsylvania. What we found there, like there was another grand jury report years before it.
Yes, with all
like
the
in
bodies
2000.
of the babies.
Oh no, I was still talking Pennsylvania. Are you talking about the one in Ireland?
Oh yeah, that one
Yeah,
was
yeah.
worldwide.
That
Yes,
was
they need one of those, a grand jury like
Right.
that. Yes,
Really,
I agree.
any institution or organization, official or not, that harms kids like so, they have the power and they have the resources to do so, and they will continue to do so until they're just all stopped. Like,
Yes.
look at the Catholic Church, because it really is the best example of this.
Yes.
They
The Vatican.
deal with the perpetrators, and then they keep all of their power and all of their ordinances in check so they can continue to do it. And half the time they just switch people around, right?
Yeah. Ugh.
You need to cut off all their balls.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you got in trouble in Detroit, Michigan for
Right.
for raping a little boy. Let's send you to Cambodia, where
Right.
there's hundreds of little kids who can't go even to school because there's no money, and you'll be sent there to help build a school for them. Like, ugh.
Right. No, and there's no one.
Right.
There's no other big authority there to help them.
Right.
Uh,
And parents see these people coming in to help build schools as, a godsend. Here, please hold my child's hand. Here, spend the day with my child. Of course, you're here to help.
because they're literally a godsend. It's really a disgusting betrayal of trust. But my point is that if you don't fully dive into, crawl down every web, you can't stop it. Like it needs so much attention to stop any of this from happening. And at the same time, I do want to caution, in a philosophical way, more or less, that when you see the news or any YouTube channels showing you all the people that Jeffrey Epstein is connected to, or Maxwell is connected to, or any of them, Bill Clinton, whatever, anyone that they ever took a picture with, anyone that they ever had over to do anything. Like, we have a tendency as human beings to think, just go straight to worst case scenario, right? And every famous person who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, it is pretty unconscionable to think that every single one of them dealt in said activities, because it would have been blown open way before, because most people aren't okay with that, right? Like, if you lie about anything, how many of your friends do you tell about it, right? If you lie about doing something like that,
Well,
how many friends do
think
you
about
tell?
how many times people tried to come out with this particular story.
Yeah.
And were shut down from, like, the Queen of England. Like,
Yeah, I forget her name.
shut down.
Yeah.
And ABC News, she had done all this research in 2009.
I covered that. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, she said we had everything. We had all these girls, and because Kate and his wedding was coming, they said no, you won't have any access if you go after the story.
You won't have have access to
Yep.
the royal wedding. What do people want to hear about? So it's rather disgusting.
Who owns media is paramount. It's so important. It's more important than many of the things we spend our time on. Who owns media conglomerates, and what is their reason? Is it in a blind trust? Is it because somebody with amazing ethics and morals thought, I just inherited all these billions and I want to build a media empire that really speaks truth to power no matter what? I'm sure in comic books, I mean, The Intercept even set out to start doing that, and The Intercept has gotten in trouble recently for hiring people who are questionable. I don't know enough to say whether I disavow everything that person ever said or not, but I do know that I'm like, ooh, why would you hire them? So
Yeah.
it's just to be media literate is going to help us as we go through this Maxwell. If she happens to protect herself from accidentally suiciding herself, and we go through this trial, being media literate is going to help out a lot, because the facts of her life and her story and this story sound like a conspiracy movie. It sounds like a film. So make your list and check it twice. I know. Hold on, real still. Okay. Hillary Clinton today, after hearing the news that Maxwell was arrested. There's a reason Epstein is trending right now. Their suicide hotline. How can I help you? And Hillary's like, I'd like to place an order.
Yeah, Christy sent me this a couple hours before the show, and I was tickled. I was tickled.
Which I'm not laughing about having anybody murdered. I guess we have to laugh about this because like I said, the facts of this story are a novel. They're a crazy ass movie and they're factual.
They're an ass movie?
Yes, it's an ass movie. Not a tits and ass movie, just an ass movie.
So I take it you'll be following this story like you did in the first place.
Yes, I will.
So Christy will be following that. I'm going to be following economics a little more coming up, and then we'll take I think maybe we can take turns on finding a religiously related story.
Well, the Supreme Court also had some good things too, so I'll be able to touch on a few of the. So I would say the Supreme Court had more wins than losses at this last, week or two. However, that church and state wall is being, there's not just windows and a door in it now. It's just like it's just where the wall used to be and a few bricks, so people trip over them. And we don't want to trip over them.
Let me just say it like this. You can teach creationism in our public schools as soon as we can teach evolution and all of the Sunday school classes.
Of
separation,
course.
Church and state, right?
Yes.
Separation. We don't want one and the other. Like
build that wall between church and state.
That's why there's separation. So like one can't dip its dirty toes into the other one's.
I can even help the people who are racist understand this. Separate but equal.
Yeah.
They're not equal.
that said, thank you all for joining us on another fun Friday night. We really super duper appreciate it. And we love you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July. And
Yeah, America, stay humanist, for godless sakes.
good night.